on your screen, just so we have a record of this. And I will actually be nesting this online. We're just building the page for you guys that's not behind our login wall, so you can just publicly access it and get in there. Yo, Molly. Oh, Maria, you did make it on. Yo, Joe, you got your hood up, boss. Looking stylish.
It's Theo.
Oh, it's Theo. He's getting huge. Look at this. All right. Couldn't tell with the hood up. All right, we got the whole crew jumping in here. Yeah, we get to have fun. I've had the kids rolling around on the office floor for the last few days as well. So, and I got to have, I'll give you the anecdotal story. Some of you already know. I was in California last week at MindBody, and we were sort of talking about all of this. But then I got back here to Mexico and immediately went from the plane to a boat, and then we were like 100 miles offshore. So we had this weird window of like 48 hours of no contact with anyone. And I swear we were driving back into Puerto Vallarta and everyone's phones like exploded. It was just boom, boom, boom everywhere, which is just a testament to how quickly this situation has escalated. And it's why we're doing this whole webinar series here. So I'm going to get us started here. You are all muted. If you haven't used Zoom before, you have a mute button in the bottom left corner of your screen. You can unmute yourself to ask a question as we go. There's also a chat right at the bottom of your screen, so you can post into the chat if you need to there as well. But this is going to be pretty off the cuff casual for the start one here, just to get a feel for what we need. Tomorrow we can dive in even more as necessary, and I'll do these for free for any of you guys for as long as we need here, because in the end there are a couple of things that are really important for us to say and that I want you to hear out loud. The first is, if you aren't part of my group, you maybe haven't heard us talk about it as much, but business leadership is the most important leadership of our time. You guys are those business leaders right now. This type of situation is the situation that honestly tests us, not only personally, it tests us not only with our business, it also tests us as, can we step up to this role that we have put ourselves in as business leaders in your local area? So people are looking to you. And it's really subconscious, but if you've been part of their reality, people are looking to you for inspiration, for confidence, for all sorts of really important, I don't know, normalcy at this point, especially if you are in a state right now or in another country right now where you're on full lockdown, where there's like serious isolation, even forcibly. So in any case, I'm glad you guys have jumped on here. We're going to go through a couple of volume louder. Did we hear? Okay. You can turn your volume up on your side. I'll put my microphone right up here too. So give me the thumbs up, Molly. Is it sounds good enough? Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So I want to just run through a few like checklist items. I'm actually building a physical checklist that I will email to you guys later today to have access to. So you can just make sure like we've got this nice itemized list of what you need to check on if you are running a wellness business. But the first major detail here that I need to bring to light for everyone is what your actual goal should be right now. So on a personal level, I think it's super important for you to, one, and this is the most important thing, if you take nothing else from this meeting, write this down, keep yourself healthy. I don't just mean like avoid the virus. I mean, you guys are all running at 150% right now. I know, I get it. You cannot burn yourself out all the way. This isn't a new concept that's different from business normally, but the truth of the matter is, just hear it from someone, because other people are not probably saying this to you. If you burn out, everything is fucked. So you need to keep yourself in control, all right? That might mean you got to exhale and take a break for a minute. It might mean you need a day off and shut down. It might mean you need a glass of wine at the end of the night. It might mean do less, but do it well. Whatever it takes, just all I'm saying is keep yourself healthy, because also stress is the #1 way to kill your immunity on anything in your immune system. So just in general, it's the most responsible thing you can do for yourself. And Yoga 101, take care of yourself first, right? Put your seatbelt on first. Put the mask on yourself first in the airplane. So pretty simple stuff. Number 2, what is your actual goal? Okay, we've got to keep the business alive. You want to keep some cash flow going. You want to make sure that things don't get too dire. Yes, but the way that that's going to happen, the actionable thing is I want you to consider that every single thing you are doing right now is for your community. So if I ask any wellness business owner anywhere on the planet, but especially a yoga studio, what is the strength of your business? What is the strength of what you do? I guarantee they're going to say, it's my community. My community is great. I have a great community. We have people really love our community. They always want to say community, which is good. And I don't disagree with that. But what I'm saying is sometimes that is our default answer, and we haven't actually had a true test of what it means to lean into our community, to use it, to benefit our community, and to commit to that being one of our focal points. One of the primary reasons I know that Jenna and I opened up our big studio in Red Deer was because we wanted to build a community. That was like actually our objective, not just to teach yoga classes. So the product that you offer is just a piece of that puzzle. Now, the reason why this matters is that there are 2 things that could be uniquely advantageous for you to focus on, community being one of them, and we'll kind of go into the details of that. And number 2 is that, not in a take advantage negative way, but like this is a moment of really powerful marketing potential because it shows your connection to your local reality. So you could also look at this from a business perspective as a marketing opportunity. And in that way, what I mean is it's an opportunity for you to communicate to your existing people and to your non-existing clients just in your local area who you are, what you're about, you know, what you sort of align with, and how you're there to support them in a powerful way. So it could be a really powerful way for you to create deeper levels of rapport with your existing community, and also to introduce yourself in a really positive way to other members of your community. What we should be considering here is that the time frame right now is really up in the air. We're getting reports of like a couple weeks and things, it'll flatten the curve, and then they're going to change the situation. I know a few of you guys are tuning in from Holland, for example. We've got a few of the Aussies coming in here, I see too. So in the other case, if you're in Europe right now, they're talking like 2 months, 4 months, like it could be longer. So we have to start prepping now for sort of the longer haul is what I would say, just to be safe. But all of this preparatory work and all these things that you're putting in place are going to allow you to, when this is over, ramp back up as quickly as possible. Because the thing that no one is really talking about vocally, because it's still so early, is that when something like this happens, we know that it takes the public a minute to start getting momentum again and to like exhale and come out of it. All of your clients are dealing with the insanity of this situation right now. So if tomorrow the government in your area says, yep, school's back in, you can go to public places, don't worry about it, there's only a few Petering cases left, just go for it, they're not all going to rush back to your studio tomorrow. That's the truth of it. So everything you do now is helping you prep and get momentum for the comeback, because that's going to matter. Okay? So let's run through a few checklist things and we'll dive deeper on this. As we're going through this stuff, if questions come up, feel free to pipe in by unmuting yourself or putting it into the chat. And in any case, oh, we've got Italy in here too. Yeah, welcome Casa Yoga. I know Italy, you guys are a perfect example here, like complete slammed. So let's dive in. So a couple of, these are like housekeeping things. I'll put them on our checklist for us too. The first thing is everything you do from a marketing perspective. The other way we could say that is communication. Have you prepped all of your standardized communication points for your public so that they understand what you are doing right now? And those standardized communication points are all of your social media channels. So Facebook, Instagram, Yelp, your Google My Business page, anything where your stuff is online. Check that you have changed the messaging there, because that is where people are going to run into you. You need to have changed your schedule there as well to be congruent with what's going on. And I would make a regular post. You could pre-schedule them. If you haven't pre-scheduled posts, I would recommend using something like Planoly is a good thing, or Later. Both have a free version and a paid version. And schedule a post every few days that's sort of like an update of what's happening in the studio and what's going on, / do it in real time. People are at home and don't have anything else to do, but their Wi-Fi is working, so they're probably online looking at stuff. So you want to be putting posts up about that. Specifically, Google My Business. A lot of us in the wellness world don't do regular posting on your Google page, but if you didn't know, you can do a post, just like a social media post, a photo with a write-up on Google on your My Business page. I would recommend doing that like every day right now. Because what happens is if I Google search your business and you come up and I then click on the Google listing, so I haven't gone to your website yet, it's going to show those posts up top. It's going to show the photo, it's going to show the post, it's going to show the write-up. So it's going to help you move up in the SEO for certain search things, first off. And secondly, it's going to show that you're hyper up to date, because right now it's like hour by hour for some people when they're looking at stuff. So that would be a good idea, to just have your business appearing really up to date on the entire situation. So beyond that, I think that it's important to just have a plan for what you're going to do with your class stuff. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Let me just check my checklist. I'm trying to go in an order that makes sense. The next thing would be on the business side, any larger hard costs. So those of you in my group in our private thing, we talked about this yesterday, but any larger fixed hard costs. So that's like your lease, if you have any high interest loans that are currently taking place, or anything else that is harder, large fixed costs, even things such as your electricity or your gas or your water. If you pay for those things right now, I'm telling you, whether someone said it or not, it's all negotiable. Go negotiate it. So the lease is probably one of the biggest ones, because your employee expenses should go down. If you can get some reprieve on your lease payment, that could be monumental in your longevity. Even if it's like 1 month for free, or they use up your damage deposit that you gave them 4 years ago, or anything, that would be smart. I know that landlords can be awesome. They can also be a total pain in the ass. So just go to them professionally, put it in writing so it's date stamped as well. Ask them for a reply by a certain date and be super polite about it. A lot of them also have insurance to cover for certain things like this. And many of you, because of your square footage, are probably an anchor tenant in the building. So it's in their best interest to help you survive. So just consider that it's worth going to them. The other thing, and this is both business and personal, if you have a mortgage that's over a certain interest rate, if you have credit card debt of any sort, which is definitely going to be too high of an interest rate, or if you have a business loan on your business of a higher interest rate, I'd go to the banks right now and ask them to renegotiate these situations, because interest rates have just tanked. So it's worth a try. The worst thing is they say no. I know it sounds like a little nitpicking on this stuff, and I'm usually not a proponent of worrying about the nickels and dimes, but in this case, it would be worth going through and doing that in general. The other thing is, it depends on the country, but I know in Canada, we're getting some reports. In Canada, you can get a line of credit. You only pay the interest on the portion of the credit that you use, and the interest rate tends to be much better than using a credit card. There seem to be some easier parameters to get approved for a line of credit right now. So that might be an interesting thing to do, not because you're going to use it, but it's just to have that buffer room there. That plus whatever your rainy day fund is that I'm sure you've been saving for this situation, just gives you a little bit more breathing room in the entire situation as well. Okay. And then the other detail, I'll be posting the video publicly that we did with Nina yesterday, who is a sort of professional in the wellness industry in terms of taxation and expenses and the number side of things. There is a couple of tax things, especially in the United States, that are fascinating. So the April 15th deadline for filing your taxes, you can put in a request to extend that all the way to October. So if that's another stressor on your plate right now, just know that you can do that, because taxes are sometimes really stressful. So you can postpone that. The other thing is you have a 3-month buffer for paying any owing taxes without any penalties. That's a special thing. It just got announced yesterday. So you will not have to actually pay any penalties if you don't pay out on the taxes right now. So from a cash flow perspective, it may be smart if you owe anything to just take advantage of that. Check in your state and everything for any other details of that. But just to keep, you want to have some liquid cash available for you right now. That's basically what it is. And the final thing on taxes, I would have a separate account or a separate note, or tell your bookkeeper or whatever, any expenses, any that have to do with COVID-19, put a note beside them, track them specifically. It's unclear, but it's looking like there's going to be some sort of, and this is in a few countries, we've now looked at it, some sort of special tax situation for next year's taxes. So there may also be the potential that right as this is ending and you're upswinging big, and then next year's taxes come in, you get a nice big write-off and you get some money back or something like that. So let's just be prepared for that, because tracking, as we all know, for taxes is literally the only way that we can do anything with it. Okay. Other than that, detail-wise, I think that there are a lot of actions that we can take. Let me just see here. No, we're going to jump right into streaming. So I've had a few questions from you guys come through. One of them was on music and videos. One of them's on how do we run videos? What platform do we use? One of them is on pricing right now for your businesses, and all of this. So I think that let's dive in on those and we'll see where this goes. Donna just commented, the LA mayor is giving commercial businesses 6 months to pay any back rent. Yeah, perfect. So people, the thing is that people realize, including your clients, we're all in this together. And one of the things for you to keep in mind with your clients is that the reason why community is the biggest deal is that that's the best service you can offer for them. The second thing is that if they feel like they're part of the community, the majority of your clients, if they're still getting paid, like a lot of them are still just, they're working from home, so they still have a paycheck coming in. If that's the case, they're happy to keep paying you as long as you're offering them value, and the community feeling is a big part of that value. So how do we create some more community connections and things? Here's my quick list. First off, obviously, I think most of you already have switched to running yoga classes online. If you have not run any yoga classes online yet, can you just post in the comments, just say not yet, just so I see. It's cool, don't worry, don't be feeling weird about it or whatever. Okay, we got a couple. Perfect, so we're gonna break down, yep, okay, awesome. We've got a few of you guys in here. We're gonna talk about like what exactly we do. Yeah, Zoom versus Vimeo. Nicole, I got your email there. We'll definitely jump into that. Perfect. So classes online, definitely something that you're going to want to do. It's just not that difficult. Here's the silver lining in a really weird way with all of this stuff, my friends. First off, all of the work you've done making your business awesome up until this point has been to prep you for random shit like this. So this is just the test. You can handle it. You're a yogi or a wellnesspreneur. You're super powered. It's going to be okay. But we got to be intelligent about it. So the first thing is, having something online is a really powerful way for you to just keep having interaction with people. It goes beyond classes, but the yoga classes themselves are the primary offering that you have. So we want to move those online. I would suggest to do your yoga classes online that you keep it really simple. It depends on your personal technical ability at this moment in time. That is the truth, because you're also probably not running out to Best Buy and buying $1,000 worth of equipment to make it super epic with lights and whatever else. The thing that you can bank on right now is that you just don't need to do that. It can be simple. The video can be just like you're looking at right now with us. The quality is enough. It's okay. Your clients will understand. They are going to love that you're just doing it. The other silver lining here is on two levels. One, when you start building content like this right now and you keep the recording of it, you are building a massive amount into a library that you're actually going to be able to use beyond this moment in time. You're going to use this stuff next year and the year after that as well, mark my words. So this is a moment which is forcing many of us to modernize ourselves into a new way that we've probably had in the back of our mind as something we want to do, but it just hasn't been a priority. Now we have to do it. So that's the advantage, is it's created this space for us to be able to actually do that as we're going. The other things that I would put online, here's a quick list of just ideas for you guys. Some of you have heard them already. One is, think about someone at home right now. What is it that they actually want to do, like in their highest image of themselves? They want to stay healthy still. They want to feel de-stressed. They want to maybe pick up that book they haven't picked up before, so they got nothing else to do. They want to do something of a higher image. So you get to facilitate a portion of that. So I would be recommending looking at doing some outside of the box things, such as teach a meditation class. Even if that wasn't actually something that you did in your studio, as long as you have the skill set to do it. If you did a 10-minute meditation every evening, or if you have a Nidra teacher, lean into that Nidra teacher right now. I'd be getting them to run a class every single night, like, or at least streaming one or recording and post it every single night, just because these are easier things for people to do at home. And yeah, and we just had the comment, lots of parents at home with kids, obviously. So online kids classes could be part of this as well. To the parent point though, Jenna, what I would say is that meditation or that Nidra class is that personal moment they have for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It's quick and easy. You can make it early in the morning and you can make it late at night before the kids are up or after they've gone to bed. So it's when a parent can actually utilize it as well. The other outside of the box thing is anything that is on the fringe, but still has to do with the position of your business. So for example, generalized health and well-being for your business includes things such as food. Right now, people are making all of their food at home. If you've got some grandma's secret cookie recipe or the best dinner salad that you've ever had or chicken soup for the Yogapreneur's soul, whatever you've got right now, now's the time to pull it out. You could be as simple as sending an email. It could be a video where you're like, yo, this is how we make this thing, and show it to them. It's not that people are going to purchase this. It's just community engagement. It keeps you top of mind. It keeps them connected to you. It keeps you adding value to them. So I'd be looking outside of the box with that sort of stuff. And then the other thing is, I think that in the yoga side of it, I haven't seen anyone that I've been looking online yet running remote private classes. But when we're talking about things like kid classes, for example, you could offer a private class where Maria reaches out to me and says, yo, I've got my 3 kids at home. I want to run a yoga class just for my family. You could get one of the teachers hired to run that class privately as well. And as an extension of this, the same thing would be like a private lesson tutorial or tutorial videos. I think if you don't have a bunch of them, now's the time to make them, because what else are you doing? So break down your yoga postures, run a tutorial. This is how you do a proper chaturanga. And by the time you run back up, not a single person in your class is going to have their elbows like this as they're dropping down. So it could be a huge change for people. So a little bit outside of the box. And then the final couple of things I want to put on your radar is the community right now. People are really isolated. Everyone deals with this a little bit differently. I think that it would be a good idea for you to do like a board game or a dice game night that you could do on Zoom. Yo, here's a link, jump in and we can just do it. Or to do something like a cocktail hour. And Kristen, I saw your question here. Do we do the community stuff just on Facebook or on a regular public page? Yeah, we're going to dive into that a bit more. Either or, what I would say is the actual human-to-human interaction, that is the unique value that your brick and mortar business already offers. So whether people consciously equate this or not, I'm connected to going to Hot Yoga Asheville at a D studio because I get to see a D and her teachers and the other people there. That's what's been taken away from me. So it might be more powerful to have any sort of platform that allows interaction, Zoom being an easy example as we're using right now, that if we can actually unmute and talk and we're all sitting there with a coffee, we're doing yoga cafe in the morning. Like, hey, it's a yoga cafe. We're going to talk about some yoga philosophy stuff. What kind of coffee you're drinking? Let's start there. Is coffee even yogic? Can you drink coffee? You know, and just shoot the shit for 20 minutes. I think people would like that. Same thing, cocktail hour. I'm probably going to do one for our group on Friday night, heads up. Everyone has a bottle of wine or a beer and just talks about life and decompresses and has a drink together. We can see each other. We can talk, whatever else. Good way to engage your community there as well. Okay, So before we dive into the technical of running the classes, I see your guys' questions here. We're going to jump in on all of them. And yes, Chris, I'm going to talk about waivers in a second as well. I think that the other detail here is what you're actually doing with your teachers and keeping them engaged in some way. So this heavily depends on the contract with your teachers, if they're an employee versus an independent contractor, and which country and state that you are in. So if you're in California, it's way more extreme than if you are in one of the southern states. If you're in Canada, it's totally different. And if you're in the Netherlands, for example, even crazier still, because the protection level is like way high. The most important non-official legal advice that I can give you right now, as per Corey, our yoga lawyer as well, is that the communication line needs to be open. And what you are avoiding, I don't want to add more horror stories to this, but you need to control this narrative. And the other reason you want to be running online class stuff is so that you can get your teachers to do something. Because if they're not doing something because you've asked them to, they're going to do something on their own, and that's where you're going to have a problem. So we have already seen this where there are studios have teachers that are teaching at multiple places. They've abandoned the studios and then contacted the students, gone on Patreon, and started running their own online class stuff. So that's a huge issue in my mind on so many levels, because it's going to make it super, more importantly than that the studio is missing out on money or something like this, it breaks up the community, doesn't bring it together. And in the long run, what are you going to do if your pro teacher starts getting a personal following as a result of this in 4 months from now when you go back to normal? Now the situation's super awkward. So we want to avoid that altogether if we can. How do we deal with that? Sarah's asking. It happened to me last night. Yeah, if this is happening again, this is about being preemptive as much as possible, sort of controlling the narrative and just being really honest about it. So if we just say, hey, you guys, we as a studio want you to feel supported as much as possible. This is what we're going to do that, and ask them to participate. If it's already happening, it might be difficult. But what most of your teachers are probably going to realize is that it is way the shit more difficult for them to go start their own thing than it is for them to go under your umbrella. Second thing, I say this all the time, let's not go too much down this rabbit hole, but honestly, right now in this moment, if this is happening to you, or you're worried about it, or your teachers, are doing weird stuff, and your gut is, your spidey senses are going off, make sure they do not have access to your emailing list. Go knock them out of your MindBody account or whatever else. The number of times I have seen teachers roll in and steal everything in your MindBody account and then do whatever the hell they want, unfortunately, would blow your mind. Traveling around, we see it all the time. It's terrible, totally unethical, and you should try to avoid it up front. So that's one thing you can do to kind of protect yourself. Your list, your data, all the people you've collected, the marketing you've done, your people that you can reach out to right now that you've been building for maybe the last decade, that is the unique intrinsic value of your business that you've been building up. No one else should be allowed to leverage that except for you, first off. And secondly, they should realize that that has tremendous value. So they should ultimately want to access that value, and they're going to have to do that through you. Okay, so beyond this, let's talk about running classes online. The big questions right now, first off, let's just knock a couple of them out. NamaStream is like one of the big players we hear about. Their site totally crashed. Last I checked, they're not even taking new people. Plus, it'll probably crash again if they open it back up because of the way that they run their platform. Without going into the technical side, the bottom line is they're out. Don't even bother going there. I would be looking at large-scale platforms that can't crash because they're used to dealing with high volume. So even if you find some obscure, smaller, easy streaming thing, it might not be a smart move because they might not be able to handle the volume that's going to keep ramping up over the next days. So I would be looking at, for your video, Facebook, Vimeo, YouTube. Those are my top 3. There are some other ones that can handle it as well. They're more expensive, they're more complicated, and probably totally unnecessary. The one outside of these 3 is Zoom, like we're on right now specifically. Zoom did crash on Friday, but their platform is built correctly and they have a large enough tech team that they could mitigate it and get it back. I don't think it's going to happen again. So technically speaking, if you're going to be running yoga classes, you've got to just think about first, what is the end result that we're going for? In the end, it could be, just to be really clear, if you're nervous about this, it could be as simple as you literally grabbing your phone, putting it on a tripod, and teaching a friggin' yoga class. That's it. So if that's what you got, cool, start there, and then you can make it better every time you do it. But the first thing to figure out is, what is the end result that we're building? So are you building recorded classes that people do on demand? Or are you building live classes on a schedule that people tune into? Or are you building both? And then on top of that, are these public or are they membership based where you need to restrict access? Because that changes the parameters. Now, if it was me, I would slowly is the key here, start building all of what I just said. I would have public stuff, private stuff, recorded stuff, live stream stuff. Because why not? What I would suggest is prioritize your existing members first. So that's going to be probably live stream or recorded behind some sort of guarded wall, a password login, something like that for it to go to. Now, where the complication happens for us often is on the technical side and on the stress of it being live. The advantage of it being live is it's the closest thing to it being like a real yoga class, and you don't edit anything. You just go up live and you go, and you just kind of have to get into the rhythm of it. So honestly, that might be the best way to go, just from a comfort level thing, because then you don't freak out about the camera and go, wait, pause, wait, okay, try again, no, second take. And then you realize you took 6 hours to film a 60-minute video. You go live, it's happening. You just get in the groove, just like teaching. So if you're new to this, that's actually, it might not seem like it, that actually might be easier for you to do, is what I would suggest. So let's break down a couple of them. Zoom being the first one, because we talk about this all the time. First thing that I'll put on your radar is if you are using MindBody, and I'll put the link in here, FitGrid just completed an integration between FitGrid, MindBody, and Zoom. So it's going to allow you to automate the connection between MindBody classes and Zoom, and it automatically making a link. If you already use FitGrid, it also uses, because I know a lot of you do, all of the normal features that FitGrid has, which right now in this moment might be more powerful than they've ever been. For those of you who don't know, FitGrid does things such as, if Molly takes my class today and it's the first time she's taken my class, she may have been in the studio for 6 months, but the first time she's taking my class, I can get notified and then send Molly a personalized message afterwards through FitGrid's app. Hey, Molly, thanks for taking my class. I hope you enjoyed it. That level of engagement and personalized high-touch engagement right now, instead of the automated stuff, could go a really long way. So if you're already using FitGrid, I would definitely reach out to them right away. If you are not using FitGrid, yeah, it's FITFRID. If you're not using FitGrid, you could go take a look at it. This is the link that you're going to need. Let me get it for you. Actually, here, I'm going to post this in the chat. It sort of breaks down what it is that they're doing and gives you a link for them to sign up. They're putting you through a landing page first where you put your name and email and stuff in so that they have a volume judge so they don't crash their system. Their system is built properly, and they are ramping up their staffing right now as well. So that could be a good option. It would ultimately require some payment with FitGrid. Let's talk about Zoom specifically. Now, FitGrid aside, if you're going to use Zoom, you're going to need a pro level account. It's the second level of Zoom, not the free one, because the free one only allows you to stream for up to 40 minutes if you have more than one person on the call. So you're going to need the pro level. It's not expensive. I think it's $16.99 a month or something like that. And you can basically cancel anytime with it unless you pay the year up front. So just know that that is, Sarah says, I think FitGrid is free for the first 30 days. They definitely do something. I'm not sure, Sarah, what they've got going on right now. But I know that they're prepped. I talked to NT at FitGrid this morning for this. So when we're looking at Zoom, you need a pro account. And basically the way Zoom works is you send out a link just like you guys received today. People click on it and then they can log on and see what you have going on. So essentially all you're going to need to run a class through Zoom is a computer with a webcam, a computer with a microphone, preferably a decent microphone will make a big difference in the sound level. But if you don't have one, don't worry about that. And the ability to email out the link to people. That's it. So if you're just starting out, that's all that's going to have to happen. Yes, iPhone AirPods are amazing for sound. Totally agree. So $14.99 for the Pro Zoom. Thank you, Jessica, for posting that in there. Yes, you can wirelessly connect your headphones to your Mac as well, such as your iPod AirPods, and that would make the microphone be right here. So it actually, if you need to be away, because what's unique about the filming situation is you need to be far enough away from the camera to get a big enough image to get somebody doing a yoga posture potentially. So that's the detail that you just have to consider. Now, let's get really specific on this for a second and talk about, doesn't matter what you're filming with, where you're going to film and any equipment that you would need. So the first thing is you need a camera that works. Basically, that's it. If you have a good camera, it is possible to use what's called an HDMI cable and hook it directly to your computer so that you are filming off of your higher quality camera, not just filming, but actually live streaming. So Zoom, for example, in the bottom left corner, if you look right now, you have a little button that says stop video or start video. And there's an upward facing arrow right next to it. If you open that up, there's video settings, and it would let you, if you had another camera connected, it would let you connect that camera. Now you'd want to play with this first, but the point is you could make the quality better. If you already have a DSLR or you already have like a Sony mirrorless or something like that, it might make sense to take a look at that. The second big thing, is framing the shot when we're talking about camera. So whether it's your computer, a camera, whatever, your iPhone, doesn't matter, framing the shot. It might be surprisingly difficult for you to frame your shots properly in your yoga room because you have mirrors or your fitness room or whatever else. So if you're using equipment that exists in that room, you might not have another option. That's fine. But what I would say, to make a video of 1 hour, you need a lot of memory on your phone. Yes, you might if you're recording Novo Yoga, but what I would say is that's another reason why you would want to live stream. Because if you live stream, it's not recording on your phone and it's not recording on your camera. It's recording on the live stream. So it's recording straight onto Facebook, straight onto Vimeo, straight onto YouTube, whatever else. And as a result of that, you don't actually have to have the memory there, basically. So that's another reason why the live stream is a good idea to go with. Yeah, we're going to talk about the recorded classes in a second here. So framing the shot, you want to make sure that you're not like filming into the camera or you have something weird in the background. So you might actually be on a strange angle in your room, for example. I know Adi in one of your rooms, for example, like you film sideways, that's a good example. Or Adi, if you see her on the screen, she has the nice mountain mural in the backdrop of her. I'll spotlight your video for a second here. There it is. So she has the nice backdrop in the background there. So she's not filming where you'd normally sort of be standing in the room. So you might want to just consider that for your filming. Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Jen. All right. The other detail here is sound. Now, this depends on if you're using a microphone or not. If you do not have a microphone, it is possible that the sound in your yoga room will be very poor because it will have an echo when there's nobody in it. So it might make way more sense for you to not even be in your yoga room at all in terms of framing the shot and in terms of getting good sound quality, because normally if we're filming with our phone, the microphone is optimized to be like arm's length away from you. And same with your computer. If you're across the room, it's not going to pick it up the same. And you're going to hear the echo. People will put up with a lower quality video for a pretty long time. They will leave right away if the sound sucks. It's just because it's annoying. So sound is what I would probably prioritize. The places that I would put on your radar that might work for you really well are your change rooms, might be surprisingly good for sound, and your front desk area. your actual front like foyer might be a good idea in terms of sound. You can solve for this no matter where you are by having a microphone. There are some easy microphones that you could take a look at that I don't know what the deal is with Amazon right now, but just so that we're looking at them. This is a Samson mic. So you're just gonna go onto Amazon and put in lapel mic iPhone. This is one I use when we're shooting with iPhone stuff. Here's another one that clips onto basically anything. And there's a third one that's with a wire. It's super cheap, 25 bucks. You just plug it in. So as long as that wire is long enough, because you can get like a 6-8 foot cable, then that could possibly work as well. This is a wireless one that I personally think is very versatile, because this one also does work with the, what's it called? Cameras as well. I'll copy the link and put it into the chat here for you guys right now. Cool. Samson gave me feedback. I had to return it. Yeah, you have to adjust the squelch on it in the settings quite a bit to get it just right. Yeah. Okay, so beyond this, for framing your shot, a couple of really, like, these are just camera basics. Put distance between you and the background. So one of the mistakes we see is that we stand right against the wall and then you and the background become the same image. That makes the crispness of the quality of the shot lower. So you want to be 4 feet away from the background as much as possible. You guys can see me here. I'm in front and my background's back there. As I get closer to my background, I become part of the background now, right? So just put some distance. So what it might mean is you're going to be like a D setup was there, away from the wall. You might be in the middle of the room. If you're near your front desk, you might be just like right in the middle of your front foyer, and you have a camera on one side, you're in the middle, and the background's way over in the corner on the other side. So really simple stuff, just for your quality to be good there as well. All right, so then technically speaking, the questions are then, what are we doing? What lights? What are the lights you use? Yeah, okay, really quickly, because that was for a D, but we'll talk about lighting. If you want to up-level this, adding lighting can go a really long way, but that can be done very simply. This is the other reason why your front foyer might be a good option for you, because your front foyer, you might have a window with light coming in. So put that window at 45 degrees or 90 degrees, like either straight at you or a little bit on an angle, and have the sunlight coming in. Obviously that has to be during the day. That's really good lighting. If you have lights already, or you want to buy lights, then you need 1 light only as a minimum. 3 lights is incredible. 2 lights is just fine as well. So you don't need more than that. There's a bunch of setups that are like 4 light and 5 light setups. Way too complicated for what you're doing. Don't bother with that. You need 1 light. It's called your key light. So it's a bright light at a 45-degree angle from the subject, relatively close, so that it illuminates their entirety. You can see right now, I have a little bit of a shadow. There's a 45 degrees. This light's actually a bit too bright. Then you want a second light that helps to get rid of, if I turn my head this way, there's a light up here right now that has a little bit less light coming on me, but it just makes it more natural, so I don't have like a hard shadow on my face, like when I do this. That's it. So that's a 2 light setup. A 3 light setup, you just do the same thing. You might add one up above or straight in front to just put it out. In terms of lights, you can look up limousine lights on Amazon, or I want to say like cowboy light setup. And it's a package. It's like $100. It comes with 3 lights. Pretty straightforward stuff. Don't make it too complicated. Make sure the lighting is decent. The biggest thing is that the light should be shining on you, not behind you. So if that's a window and it's behind you and you're filming this way, the front of your face is going to be in the shadow. That doesn't make sense. It needs to be on the other side. So Zoom, one of the questions that's coming up here, let's get into some more of the technical side. So you decide, okay, cool, I'm going to use Zoom as one of the examples. We'll go into some other ones. And we're going to live stream the video. You need to get the link from Zoom out to everybody. If you're using FitGrid, you can automate that. If you're not using FitGrid, you could still automate it, but you would probably need to add in an additional system, like additional scheduler, such as Acuity or Calendly or something like that, which if you are not familiar with is probably unnecessary. So what you would do instead, if you're using MindBody, for example, is you would have your class and say you need to pre-sign up, and we send the link out 5 minutes before. When people sign up for the class, you then go to that class in your mind-body system and get the class list of all those people. You can tag them and go to the mailing list report, and then you have the list of all the people registered for that class, and you just email them manually right before the class. It's not hard. Takes about 42 seconds for you to do. Yes, one of your teachers could do it as well, and then they just send the list out. So from a simple manual standpoint, that's what you could do. Very importantly, if you're live streaming, click record. So at the bottom, there's a record button on Zoom that you can record with. If you're using GoToMeeting or anything like that, it's almost exactly the same. Make sure you click record. One of the big things that keeps coming up in a few groups that I'm in is that Zoom takes a long time to render the recording afterwards. So on Zoom, there's two ways you can record. You can record to the cloud, and Zoom will charge you for cloud storage if you go over a certain amount, which will be easy for you to go over. Or you can record what they call locally, which means recording it onto your computer. Personally, I always record locally because I'm going to download it from the cloud to upload it somewhere else anyways for when I'm going to nest it somewhere after the fact. And if you record it to the cloud, then you have to wait for their processing system in wherever it is that's Zoom's headquarters near you to process it. So some people are giving us reports of they recorded something yesterday or the day before and it still hasn't been finished processing. It will finish processing, but it might take 24 hours or 48 hours, which is super annoying for you. So if you record it locally, it's going to process, but it's processing on your computer like now. Worst case scenario, couple of hours is usually what we see. But if you have really strong internet, should be like 20 minutes or less, 30 minutes or less. So then you have an MP4 file on your computer, and now you can do anything you want with it. Now it gets really easy. So one of the questions was, okay, I've got this recording. Where do I do with it next? Where do I put it? So this is where YouTube or Vimeo especially are going to come into play. If you have a YouTube channel, great, use that. If you have a Vimeo account, you can use that. It's half a dozen of one, 6 of the other. There's no major real difference, I would say, for using one over the other. The only real difference is the decision on whether or not you are going to just be putting this somewhere for people to have to access with a passcode, or if you're just going to make it public, changes it slightly. So let's jump in. If you don't have a YouTube account, by the way, you're going to want to open up a YouTube brand account. If you already have a YouTube account and you don't have a brand account, don't panic. It doesn't matter. Use your personal account. It's no big deal. But essentially, you go to YouTube here, and then you would say add or manage your account. So this is youtube.com/account. This is if you don't have one. Add a new account, make it a brand account, because then it can be you managing it, but it's under your brand's name, and it will make it more congruent. It will also let you have multiple people manage the account. So if you're doing setup, that's what you would do. Once you have your video, you're going to go to your YouTube channel. So let's start at the beginning here, so it's a little easier for us to see the steps. You go to YouTube, make sure you're logged in. You know you are, because you're in this top right corner. It will have you logged in here. Make sure you're logged in under the right account. Click on create a video, upload a video, and then you're going to click select the file. We select your MP4 file. Let's say we're going to use this one. I'm going to move us out of the way for a second. It starts uploading, and then there are 3 phases to this file uploading. As you can see, the details, the elements, the visibility. So here you're going to write a description on what your video is about. Don't overthink it. Keep it simple. Hey, this is a class on this. This is what we did, or this is a tutorial, blah, blah, blah. Make the title something really obvious. The title is important in this case, you guys. So what I would say with the title is that you want to make sure it says, hey, this is what this is. This is what this is, and it has a number. So like 9:30 yoga class, date number 1, something like that. So that when it's online, if they've seen number 1 already, they don't go and watch it. They know how to differentiate. Oh, I did number 1, I did number 2, I did number 3. Now I'm going to go into number 4. It's just to make it easier for them. Then beyond this, when you click next, these video elements, for the most part, probably not relevant at this point, but at the end, you can decide, oh, someone's drawn on our screen, to make this public, or you can decide to make it unlisted or private. If you're using YouTube, it's easiest, we've tested this, it's easiest for you to make it unlisted. Unlisted means anyone that you give the link to could see it. Or you can embed it, but there's no other controls. They don't need to log in. They don't need a password. You don't need to invite them. Nothing weird like that. They can just get onto it. Okay? So if it's unlisted, it's like hidden from YouTube because it doesn't show up in search. It won't organically show up. They can't put anything in to find it. They need the direct link, or they need to directly go to where it's embedded somewhere. So essentially, that's what I would recommend for YouTube, is that you're just going to make it unlisted if you want controls on it. If it's public, make it public. That's just fine. Once the video's up, then you can select any video. It's easiest if you just go to it on YouTube, actually, and you click share, and then right here, embed. And this code is what you're going to put on your website so that this video shows up on your website. So it doesn't matter which web platform you're using. Some web platforms, they have a special thing where they say, it's like if you have a drag and drop builder, like Squarespace, for example, I believe Live Edit, and you want to add a video, you drag the video builder on there, and then they might just want this. They might just want the actual URL up here. It'll be obvious because they'll give you an example. If they don't, what you're doing is embedding a piece of code. It's this iframe code that you embed on there. Once it's embedded on your site, then it shows up on your site. The reason why this is super relevant is that once it's embedded on your site, you're going to be able to send people to it where they watch it on your site. So if you're wondering, okay, how do I make sure that people get access to this after the fact, instead of sending them a link where they're going to go and watch this on Zoom or wherever else it's recorded, you can send them either directly to your own YouTube account, so maybe you gain some followership there, or to your own website. So then your SEO goes up because they're spending time on your website watching this stuff. The final detail is, if you've decided that at the end, I do want to control this, I only want my members to access these, then you could password protect that page on your site. So instead of you having a password for every single video, which you can do, but then you have to have a password for every single video, you can just say, here's this page on my site, you need you password protect it, give your members the password, they log in, and that's where you embed all the videos as you make them. Also, over time, you could decide to make that page look fancier or whatever else as we're going. Yeah. I'm just checking else what we got here. Jill from MBU here, you can use iMovie to save the video, lower file quality size. Yes. Yeah, tried to upload videos from internet, files were too large. Did it say, Jenna, did it say that your videos were too large to upload it to where? To the website or to YouTube? To YouTube. Oh, interesting. That's surprising. Okay, let's deal with that. So if you need to change the size of a video, a good example would be iMovie. If you don't have a Mac, you could use Adobe Rush is the other one that's really easy. When you are in iMovie, you just drop your video into here, and then when you're done, you click up here in the top right corner to export. You would export it to a file. And then right here, you have settings. So quality, resolution. So you can make the resolution lower. Quality, you just say, you know what, low is good enough. And I want it compressed faster. And you can see here's the estimated size. This is 500 megabytes, this video. If I go to Pro best resolution at 1080p, now we're 22 gigabytes. So it massively changes the size of the thing. So that would be what you would do. It's at the moment that you export the video. So you would literally just drop it in here and then re-export it and change those parameters would be the fast way for you to be able to do that to resize. That's a little bit surprising. YouTube doesn't usually, doesn't usually limit that too much. So there must be a really high quality file on there. Okay. LaDonna says she had issues with YouTube as well. Yeah, I mean, just shrink it down if we need to. This is the other thing that 75-minute class if a teacher of mine recorded. Yeah, it really depends on the file size. So that's what you could check. Go look at the file, 2-finger click or right click on it, see what's the size of this file. And if it's huge, if it's gigabytes, tens of gigabytes, then that's where you might want to shrink it down. This would be the other reason why live streaming could be advantageous instead of filming. When you film something on a high quality camera, it might have its settings wrong. So you might be filming at like 4K, or if you have a super hyper awesome camera like 5K, you're going to get this enormous file at the end, basically. So what could happen instead is it's too big and you need to shrink it down there as well. Okay, so then it's embedded on your site. If you need to know how to make a locked page on your site, you can post into the comments here. But Connie Holden, who we work with at Pixality Design, if you're using Squarespace, she's our master to go to. She'll just have that up for you really fast. She can also put a tutorial out or send you one of her video tutorials really quickly. Other than that, contact your web person. It doesn't matter what page you're on. It should be really easy and it should not cost you really anything. Like if a web person on a more technical level site like WordPress or something is like, yeah, it's going to cost $100. That should be the maximum. This is nothing like wonky here, just so you know what you're looking at. Now, let's talk about Vimeo, because Vimeo has a few features that are a little bit unique as well. So one of the things with Vimeo, and I'll just share my screen again over onto one of our Vimeo accounts. When you come to Vimeo, so you log in, you click on new video, let's do an upload. And then right here, you have a whole bunch of options, which makes it super confusing actually, for how someone can access the Vimeo. Now, same thing, you can embed Vimeo videos on your website, so they could watch them there, or you can send them directly to the link so they're watching it on Vimeo, either way. But you can make it right in Vimeo. Only people with a password can see this video, and then you set the password for the video. If you wanted to make it less complicated, you could technically just use the same password for all of the videos that you're password protecting, and then send them the links to the video with the password, and they have to put the password in to be able to watch it. It could really be that simple. So that's an option. You can also just hide the video from Vimeo. So this means it doesn't, just like it's unlisted in YouTube, it just means it doesn't show up anywhere. You could embed it anywhere. Anyone could watch it if they have the link, but they can't search it. It doesn't like show up in any other way, shape, or form. And it is also possible, let me just see, only people with private link, then you can send it through a private link only. This wouldn't necessarily stop them from sharing the link, just like it wouldn't stop them from sharing the password. So it's never perfect, but it's a pretty good idea. One thing with Vimeo specifically that can be powerful is that if you have recorded with Zoom onto your computer and then you upload it into Dropbox or Google Drive, which might be a smart idea just to have it saved somewhere that's totally different and easy for you to access. You can actually upload to Vimeo directly from Google Drive or directly from Dropbox, or I guess OneDrive and Box as well here. So that might be helpful if that is your strategy there as well. Okay, and the final thing is Vimeo Premium. If you pay for Vimeo Premium, which is quite a bit more money, I think it's like $50 a month, something like that, then you can live stream from Vimeo, you can have password protected stuff, and you can actually stream from Vimeo to multiple places at the same time, which is only relevant if it's going to be publicly available stuff. But it is the 75, I think Nicole says. Okay, cool. That's not so bad. So that is an option. With Vimeo, can you see all of the list of videos at once, like on YouTube? Yes, you can, LaDonna. You can send them just to your video page where you see all of the videos in one go. Yeah. Okay. Has to be paid annually to get the $75 for premium, Linda says. Yes. So a little more costly. You got to sort of commit to it and really learn Vimeo and use it that way. The good advantage of Vimeo, in my opinion, we use it, for example, is when you embed the video on your website, it doesn't have ads that show up and it kind of looks nicer. But really, is that like, you can do that same thing with YouTube for free. So again, when we're talking about like negotiating with a landlord and stuff like that, rather than go out of pocket 75 times 12 right now, maybe YouTube is a good solution for you. If you're going to use this anyways and be embedding stuff anyways in the long run, then maybe you go that way. Both work functionally basically the same, is what I would say. Okay, so that would be, practically speaking, some of the stuff that I would do. The other thing, yeah, someone mentioned Restream. Has anyone used it? Yes, that was the last thing we're going to come up with. Restream, let me just bring it up here so we can actually see it. It's restream.io. Here, I'll put that into the chat for you all to go take a look at it when you're done here. Vimeo does do this. Restream is cheaper, first off, but secondly, it's sort of built for this application specifically. So Restream will let you stream to multiple channels simultaneously. So you could have one live video going. You can connect Zoom to it. There's a couple technical steps. Their help suite lets you do it. But then you could be streaming like we are right now and have it go to Facebook, YouTube, a Facebook group, an Instagram channel, onto Twitch if you're a gamer, all of that at the same time. And if you pay for the feature of their chat, it brings one super chat onto screen from all of those platforms. So if people put comments in, it brings into a chat where you can respond on screen in real time across all of them. The reason why this is an interesting play right now, if you're a little bit more technologically savvy and willing to go through the setup, is the marketing play potential. So the final point that ties into this is we've talked about like members and having them have a special login of maybe full classes, some recorded classes, tutorials, stuff like that. That's your sort of premium level for your members. What about the people who you have on your list who are also at home, who are not members, who you want to engage with? So I would highly recommend you strategizing some of your content to be public. Probably that content is easy access content. So that's things such as like half of a tutorial or one quick tutorial that's only 3 minutes long. That's things like your cocktail hour or whatever that you might do, or your board game night. And it's also things like maybe your meditation class, it's only 15 minutes long. Or if you do like a hyper condensed 20-minute yoga class of some sort, or 20-minute fitness workout, or 20-minute IHP or something like that, that would be something that would be kind of cool to go public. Sarah asks, can you put Zoom recordings onto a private Facebook group? Yes, you can. So basically your Zoom recording, once it's on your computer, it's an MP4 file. So anywhere you can upload an MP4 file, a video file, you can upload it, including a private Facebook group. So in Zoom itself, if you have the pro level, I believe, you can also, if you click the 3 dots on the bottom, you might not be able to right now because you guys aren't the host, you can go live on Facebook or live on YouTube right from Zoom. And when you do that, you can make it go into a private group. So I'll often do an interview in our private group. You guys have seen me do. I'll be using Zoom for the interview, but I'll be going live in the Yogapreneur Collective's private Facebook group that only the members see. So it is possible to do that as well. That is another very simple way for you to set this up. If you don't have one, create a private Facebook group, invite everybody to it, or tell them to log in if they're a member. You can set the approval, so you only approve actual members. And then you use Zoom, but go live on Facebook when you do it. The only reason why you would do that is because Zoom is two-way. It lets them communicate with you and you communicate with them, and you can see all the people on the screen, and you could make, recommendations or keep people engaged or whatever else if you want to. If that's not of interest to you, if you legitimately just want to teach a yoga class, you might not need to use Zoom to do that. Just go in your Facebook group and go live and teach a yoga class. And you'll see who's logging on to see it. They can leave comments. You're not going to see them. You're not going to do other things, but it's going to work. They're going to be able to watch it, and then it's nested there for them to access afterwards. So that is like an ultra simplistic way that you can do that as well. Bottom right of the page, it should say more, Liz, 3 dots on the Zoom. And when you click that, it'll pop up, go live on Facebook, live on Workplace by Facebook, live on YouTube. If you don't see that, then you have to go to zoom.us and go into your account and just turn it on in the settings. That's all it is. So your Zoom account might not have the allowed to go live on toggle switch gone on. Zoom's help suite has every single step to walk you through how to do that as well as you go. Okay. Let's just see here. Let me check my notes. What else we got? All right, couple of last things. We're going to call it for today. Don't forget, we have tomorrow's meeting. I'll put one up for Friday, and we'll keep going as we need to. I want to have 50 minutes for Q&A here, you guys. So let's just bang out these last couple of things. The first thing is pricing. What do you actually charge for this? This is my honest recommendation. People who are still getting paid are going to be willing to continue to pay you. I wouldn't do anything with your pricing at first. At this moment in time, I would just play it cool. I would send an email out if you haven't already, talking about what you're doing to give value to the community, and just say, we really appreciate and love that this community is so strong and that you continue to support us just as we continue to support you. I know that's like ultra authentic and like a little bit putting yourself out there. Now's the time that you would do that though. Then step 2, be prepared for when someone wants to cancel or hold their membership, because we don't know what everyone's personal situation is. Have you and your entire team just ready to go. Yeah, earthquakes here. Utah's evacuated and got to peel out. Yeah, see you, Jackie. Stay safe. Yeah, for those of you who didn't hear, 5.7 just hit Utah. I know, everything at once, right? Murphy's Law. So what I would suggest is, yeah, have your email prepped for how you're going to respond to people if they decide that they want to cancel, what you're going to say. I would offer a membership hold, even if you don't officially do that. Instead, I would put an end date on the hold. As it is right now, as per governmental whatever, we're happy to put it on hold for you until this date, at which point we'll reevaluate. No, there is not a way to make everything go on hold for all of your members really quickly. You have to do them one by one. That would be a better method anyways. The final thought here, I just want to put it on your radar. Yeah, save the rest for tomorrow. For the final thought here for your pricing is, if you are getting a lot of cancellations in like 2 weeks from now, then you might consider having a different membership at a different price. It's just for your online stuff. But I would just say, like, be prepared to know what that is. Don't move to it until you have to move to it, is what I would basically say. Cool. All right, you guys, we're over our time for today. I know a lot of you got to jump off anyways. We're going to go again tomorrow and continue this conversation. We're going to talk about music in your videos and just what to know for that. You guys can go play with it. I'll maybe do a little tutorial on how to use Zoom a little bit more powerfully. And you can bring any questions we have as well. I'll stay on here for another like 2 minutes. If you've got any questions, unmute yourself or post them in the chat right now that are quick, and we'll jump onto them. Thanks, you guys. Yeah, Angela, you could just do a Zoom class from home. So what you could do is, if you have a Zoom account, you could even get your teachers to start one, or you could just give them access to yours, or you could have an up-level account where you pay for an additional user, and you could get your teachers to run a class for you once a day, once a week, whatever else, right from their own house, honestly. Yeah. One of the things that we didn't get to a little bit is some of the insurance, some of the waivers, stuff like that to consider. We're going to have to jump onto that tomorrow. Yeah. What do we recommend for people who are using class passes, like a 10-pack or something like that? I'm assuming you mean, other than ClassPack or ClassPass, the actual company. So I would recommend that you just make a decision definitively and go with it. They either get access to classes and everything like your members do, or they don't. It's really just that simple. So if you're using what we're talking about, where you're going to live stream a class on Zoom, and then you're going to embed it afterwards where people can access it unlimitedly, that is an unlimited membership. If they're going to just only access the live recording and maybe they even get a recording of that one class, but not of all of the content that you're building, that might be 10 class pack person, right? So I would probably, if you want to differentiate it, I would look at differentiating it that way. Yeah. So if you've got a 10 pack, I can get the Zoom link. I can watch it. I even get emailed a link to go watch that one video on YouTube or something afterwards if I want to, because I've paid for it by one of my 10 classes, but I don't get access to the password locked membership area that has the whole suite of all of the content that you've put there for people as well. Yeah. If you have a teacher from home, how do you add them to the Zoom meeting? Yes. So you just get them the link, Rosa. They log on to Zoom, just like you have right now. And then on the bottom, it says participants or manage participants. So I'm going to do it to you right now. You click on manage participants. And let me just find you really quick. And then you find them in the participants bar, and then you say make co-host. So you're going to see it pop on your screen right now. Right? And then now you'll be able to see manage participants down below there. So you'd make them a co-host. Now they have full control of Zoom just the same as you. So that's a way for you to not have to make it complicated, them logging in with a login or whatever else. Yeah. Awesome. All right, guys, we're going to keep going on this stuff tomorrow. Bring your questions, write them down, ready to go, and we will jump on as we go. Stay strong, keep going. Thank you for everything you're doing. Peace.